In the beginning of this week's Parsha, we read about how after many, many years, Rivka finally became pregnant with a child. But it was a very difficult pregnancy, to the point where she said, Im kain lama za anochi. If so, what am I doing here? I can't handle this. What was so difficult about her pregnancy? Explains the Medrash. It wasn't the physical pain. It was the fact that when she would pass by a yeshiva or a shul, the baby would try to come out. She felt the baby attracted to the shul. She felt the baby attracted to the yeshiva. But the same thing happened when she passed by a house of Avodah Zarah. And she was very confused and troubled by this. So, Vatelach lidrosh as Hashem. She went to ask Hashem. She went to ask the Navi. What did the Navi tell her? The Navi told her, the word of Hashem is, you're going to have twins. There's going to be two babies. Two very different and separate babies. And it seems to be that Rivka was comforted by this. The question is, why was that a comfort for her? Okay, before she thought she had a child who had tendencies towards the yeshiva, tendencies towards the house of Avodah Zarah. Now she hears it's two separate babies, one who's going to go to the yeshiva and one is going to go to the house of Avodah Zarah. Now it's okay. Now because she has one child who's going to be a righteous child, she's okay with having a wicked child? Would any parent be okay? Would any parent sleep at night if they knew that one of their children would be righteous, but one is going to be wicked? Why didn't she care about that other child? And the answer is that Rivka was no stranger to wicked people. Rivka was no stranger to people who had a tendency to go after Avodah Zarah, who had a tendency, who were attracted to things that they weren't supposed to be attracted to, who were drawn to things that they weren't supposed to be drawn to. Her father was like that, her brother was like that, her whole family, her whole town was like that. And she knew about that, and she was prepared as a mother to be able to be machanech her difficult child. She would teach her child how to deal with those urges, how to deal with those tendencies, and how to overcome them. That she was prepared for. But originally, when she first thought there was only one child, she said, wait a second. This is a child who's not going to be honest with me, who's not going to be clear with me. It's a child who has tendencies in two different directions. During the day, he's studying in yeshiva. At night, he's out in the clubs. During the day, he's doing what he's supposed to, but at night, he's causing all sorts of trouble. He presents one face to the world, but inside, behind closed doors, he's doing other things. Said Rivka, that's something that I don't know how to deal with. That's something which is too troubling. But once she heard that it's going to be twins, then she was comforted. Okay, I'm going to have a child who's going to be a little more difficult. I'm going to rise to the challenge. I'll be able to educate. But a child who shows that two-faced, a child who's not even honest with me, a child who's echad b'peh v'echad b'leiv, says one thing but means different, that's going to be too hard. That I don't know how to deal with. Ironically, that's who Esav becomes. Esav becomes that person who on the surface honors his father, asks him all sorts of interesting questions, but as soon as his father leaves, he's out hunting, he's out stealing, he's out doing all sorts of immoral things. And that was too challenging for Rivka to overcome. That was too challenging for Rivka to educate. In our own lives, we have to make sure that we're being honest with ourselves. We all have tendencies, we all have desires to do things that we're not supposed to. We all have a Yetzer Hara, and that's okay. We're human beings. And we can learn to overcome that. We can reach out for guidance to other people. It's okay to have those tendencies as long as we keep them in check. But one thing we have to do is we have to be honest with ourselves. We can't be echad b'peh ve'echad b'leiv. We can't say one thing, but behind closed doors, do something else. We have to be piv v'libo shaven. We have to say something, and we have to mean it. And if we're living that double life, if we're showing one face of the world, but behind closed doors we're doing things that we're not supposed to, that's a very, very dangerous road. Something that even Rivka Imenu felt that was too much for her, too much to raise a child like that. Im kain lama za anochi. This is something that I can't handle. So when we have challenges, when we have desires, when we're tempted to do things that we're not supposed to, that's okay. But let's be honest about it. Let's be honest to ourselves. Let's be honest to the people around us. And then let's use the support around us. We'll be able to overcome those challenges. And Mirz Hashem, we could overcome all our challenges and train ourselves and help ourselves and always be growing and always be thriving, always be improving ourselves to become greater and greater servants of Hashem. Have a great, great Shabbos.